Investigations are underway to track down the drug traffickers responsible for trying to smuggle 2.8 million rands worth of narcotics at the OR Tambo International Airport.
During a routine inspection at a cargo warehouse on Wednesday, police discovered crystal meth worth 2.2 million rand.
The meth was destined for the Philippines. Now, the second drug bust was made at another cargo warehouse.
8 large boxes containing dagga worth 672,000 rand were also discovered on Thursday.
It seems like drug dealers from South America have now discovered South Africa as an easy port to transfer drugs to different parts of the world, as the South African Police Service have reported that last week 2 huge drug busts were discovered at the OR Tambo International Airport. First, there was a bust of 2.2 million worth of crystal meth that was destined for Philippines, and the following day, marijuana with a street value of 600,000 destined for Morocco was also busted. Let's hear what the South African Police Service spokesperson had to say in regards to this.
Look, we've got a very vigilant, integrated and multidisciplinary team at the OR Tambo Airport consisting of the SAPS. We've got BMA on board. We've got SARS Customs, as well as airport security that is working together to ensure that we prevent and combat all forms of criminality at the airport. You would know that OR Tambo International Airport is it's recognized as the largest and busiest airport on the African continent. So it is a prime target for drug syndicates because it acts as a connection between all these countries. So we have a lot of drug traffickers that utilize this particular airport. A lot of people are sending these drugs through this airport. So we've got quite a vigilant team. We've got weekly operations. So in this particular operation, we were just conducting our day-to-day operations at the cargo warehouses, routine inspections when we came across the first consignment, which was the crystal meth worth 2.2 million. That was on Wednesday. And on Thursday, we continued with this particular operation and at another cargo warehouse where we found dagga that was destined for Morocco. So we really have a strong team, and I think in the last 2 years we've intensified our operations. We've arrested more than 20 drug traffickers at OR Tambo Airport alone, and we've seized millions of drugs from cocaine to cat to dagga that was destined either for South Africa or to other countries.
Indeed, and you make mention of that very fact that South Africa does appear to be a transit point. Just a reminder to the viewers that last year, Gauteng police arrested a 25-year-old drug trafficker at OR Tambo who was in possession of cocaine with a street value of 4.2 million rand. Why has South Africa become this transit point, if you like?
Well, like I've indicated, the airport is one of the largest and the busiest, and it's quite attractive for, the drug traffickers because they think because of its because it's busy, we might not be able to then pick up or identify such illegal activity. But as I've alluded that in the last 2 years, we've had a number of arrests and we've seized quite a large quantity of drugs. And this is not only at OR Tambo Airport. I think in the last 4 months, we have arrested more than 33,000 suspects that were found to be in possession of drugs and in the country, and those that were dealing in drugs is more than 4,000. Actually, our largest number of arrests are those that are found in possession of drugs and those that are dealing in drugs. So it does tell you that we are intensifying our fight against drug trafficking and the dealing in drugs in the country. We actually had a recent conviction where a Namibian drug mule was sentenced to 8 years direct imprisonment. She was utilized as a drug mule, whereupon she was actually from Sao Paulo, Brazil, and she landed in South Africa, and she was found to have swallowed at least 68 bullet-looking packets that were filled with cocaine. So what happens is that when we intercept these drug mules, we then take them for medical examination. An X-ray will then confirm that there are foreign objects in their stomachs, and then they will be given something to release those particular foreign objects and so on. And during further examination, it is confirmed that they are drugs. And it's quite dangerous because we actually had one drug trafficker that started bleeding through that process. So it's quite a dangerous exercise. But we remain quite vigilant at the airport and throughout the country to ensure that we prevent and combat any forms of criminality.
Something interesting pointed out by observers, just as a final question to you, Athlenda, is that direct flights between South Africa and Sao Paulo, this is Brazil, and vice versa, these seem to be the favorites, if you like, for drug traffickers. Explain to us why that is and how police can try and target those for such busts.
So we have identified the Sao Paulo, South Africa route as being quite problematic, and that is why the National Commissioner, each time he gets an opportunity, he does meet with the Brazilian Federal Police Chief to discuss ways of intensifying our efforts to combat this particular activity through that particular route. And the majority of those that have been arrested were actually from Sao Paulo, from South America, and so on. It's not even with only OR Tambo Airport, even the shipment that are coming from South America to the Durban port, the majority of them were coming through from Brazil, South America, and so on. And I think at the Durban port alone, we've seized more than 1 billion worth of cocaine in the last 2 years. So we are intensifying our efforts throughout the country at all our boards, at all our ports, whether be it land, sea, or land ports, where we are already working together not only as the SAPS but also working through Interpol with other law enforcement agencies across the world to combat this type of activity.
Now, as citizens of South Africa, we are worried if drug dealers are finding it easy to export drugs through South Africa. It means that there is a lot of drugs that are being smuggled and not being discovered by the authorities.